Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business of Business podcast. I'm your host, Roy. Of course, we are the podcast that brings you a wide variety of guests to speak about a lot of diverse topics to help you be more successful in your business. Sometimes, unfortunately, we don't know what we don't know, and these speakers give us some great ideas. And then sometimes we do know where we need some help, but we're looking for just that right professional to help us out. And so today we are fortunate enough to have an awesome guest. I've been waiting for a couple of weeks to get him on the show. His name is Ari Galper. He is going to talk about how to succeed in the new economy with trust-based selling. He is the world's #1 authority on trust-based selling. He's the founder and CEO of Unlock the Game. In his new book, Unlock the Sales Game, has become an instant bestseller among business owners and entrepreneurs across the globe. Ari is the world's #1 authority on trust-based selling and has been featured in CEO Magazine, Forbes, Inc. Magazine, Sky News, and the Australian Financial Review. As trust becomes the most important currency in the new economy, the act of selling as a dehumanizing process with endless chasing has been completely reinvented and anchored in the timeless values of integrity and trust through trust-based selling. In his best-selling book, Unlock the Sales Game, Ari describes his revolutionary sales approach based on getting to the truth and why having a mindset of focusing on deep trust instead of the sale is ironically 10 times more profitable. Ari, thanks so much for taking time out of your day. Welcome to the show, first off.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you bet. I mean, this is just, like I said, I've been excited for the last few weeks to talk to you because this is what I try to preach all the time I get a chance to, is this trust-based selling. And it's just so much, I guess I can sleep at night when I do that. So anyway, let's just talk a little bit. If you could tell us a little bit about your background. I know that you were raised in the U.S. and now live in Australia. So that's awesome. But kind of tell us how you got here, how you decided to write this book, kind of how everything came together for you.
Yeah, so I'm from California originally. Met my wife online about 20 years ago on a dating site. This is prior to swiping. It was more of a DOS where they email you a photo and a couple notes. So she was working in Los Angeles. We kind of connected there, dated for a while. And then she said, come visit my family, in Sydney. I was like, wow, Australia is kind of far, but I'll give it a try. So came out here, got engaged, we got married here, moved back to LA. And then we started my business there, Unlock the Game. And a gift came to our lives 6 months later. Our son Toby, who has Down syndrome, and he became an inspiration for us because I don't know if anybody has Down syndrome, but they're beautiful, beautiful people. They're just warm and loving and transparent. So I wrote a book about him called Lessons from Toby, and he became the inspiration behind my trust-based selling approach. And then we moved out here, and just where I launched the business. But prior to coming out here, and this is a story behind how I invented this concept. I was a sales manager in a software company. I was managing 18 people underneath me, and it was a fast-growing, high-tech company. We developed the first online website tracking software to track website behavior, user behavior through websites. Now it's called Google Analytics, where you can collect statistics on your visitors. But so we launched this product and real-time viewing, and the leads came across my desk. There were big opportunities. As one came across my desk to me, and I called them back. We had a good conversation, and it was a big company. They had multiple websites, big opportunity. And if I close this one sale, it would double the revenue in one opportunity. That's how big it was. So if it goes well at Christmas time, everyone gets that bonus, So they agreed to a conference call and a live demo. I'll never forget, 4:00 on a Friday afternoon, where I'm in the conference room with my CEO, and doors closed behind me. There's a big, long conference table in front of me. On the table is a speakerphone. The one with the 3 legs on it, the kind of corporate, like spaceship kind of speakerphone. So I remember those days. And I hit the dial tone, I dialed the number, and my guy picks it up, and we had a quick chat. And he's like, Ari, let me tell you who's on the phone with us today. And I was like, oh, great. I didn't know someone else would be there. He says, next thing I hear is, my name is Mike, I'm CEO. I was like, oh, this is good. My name is John, I'm head of IT. Oh, this is perfect, My name is Julie, I'm head of marketing. This is even better. I mean, everybody on this call was basically a decision maker. I'm talking about, this is like the call you hope to get as often as possible.
Yeah, right.
going to happen. It's going to happen today. So I introduced myself, began to give them a live demo over the web, showing them all the information we collect for them. And it was the first time they saw this kind of stuff. And I started hearing this noise on the phone call, like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. I can't believe we can see this. They start asking me all kinds of questions. How does it work? How do we install it? What's technology? And I had all the answers. I was competent technically. I read the sales books, CDs in my car back then with the seminars. I did all my rapport. And I mean, seriously, Roy, there's so much chemistry on this phone call. It was like a love fest on the phone. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. The rare opportunities.
Yeah, it just all happened at one time. I'm saying to myself, man, there's no resistance here at all. This is like the dream sales call. And so an hour goes by, I'm answering questions and it's all going well. Call kind of comes to an end. My guy says to me, Ari, thank you so much. We love what we're seeing here. Give us a call a couple of weeks, follow up with us, and we'll move this thing forward. I was like, oh, thank you, God. You know, my boss is like, you know, nice job, Ari, you know, and I mean, it could not be in a better editing. And so I said my goodbyes. I took my arm and my hand and I reached for the phone in the middle of the speakerphone, hit the off button on there. As I'm reaching for the off button by complete accident, now it's the divine intervention. My thumb hit the mute button instead of the off button. They were like right next to each other, and I hit the wrong button by complete accident. And a small click happened, and they thought I hung up the phone. And in that split second, a voice inside of me said, Ari, go to the dark side. Be a fly in the wall. Go where no one's ever gone before in the world of sales, right? So just for a second, I pulled my thumb back. They started talking amongst themselves, thinking I had left the call. So what would you imagine, not a trick question, that they would have probably said after a call like that? What would you expect them to say?
Well, I think they probably somebody would have said probably, yes, we're interested, or no, we're not, and gotten into the whys and wherefores, maybe even had some, you know, if one was interested, one wasn't, maybe even started having some dialogue about what more they needed from you or from your product.
You would think that, right? Well, here's what they said verbatim, word for word. I'll never forget. That's why we're all here today. What they said was this. They said, we're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information. And make sure we shop someplace else cheaper. Knife in heart, twist. I was in a state of shock.
Wow.
I was like, what? And I finally hit the off button on the phone. Yeah. I turned my chair, looked at the wall, and I said to myself, what did I do wrong? I was professional. I was competent. I studied sales my whole career from all the gurus. They were happy. I gave value. I over-delivered. And the first big epiphany hit me, and that was this. That somewhere along the way, it has become socially acceptable not to tell the truth to people who sell, right?
Right. Yeah, and as salespeople, you know, we take the bad end of that rap, and there are a lot of people that deserve it. Not saying that they don't, but I think, you know, I'm where you are, that I want to tell the truth and build that trust. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, there are customers out there, or prospects, we'll say, that, you know, basically do the same thing.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, what I realized was it has become socially acceptable not to tell the truth and to say things like, sounds good, I'm definitely interested, send me information, send me a proposal, without having any intention of buying at all.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that there is an invisible river of pressure that flows underneath every process you have pre-sale with somebody, marketing on the phone. And if you don't remove the pressure from that process that's invisible, you'll always fight the battle. They won't feel comfortable telling you the truth. And you can't build trust with people. And that's when I invented my whole unlock the game concept, where the whole idea is a different mindset, where you're focusing now on truth and trust building, not the sale anymore. When you focus only on that with someone, they feel connected to you. It creates a sort of this bubble of vulnerability where they feel comfortable telling you where they stand. Now you get the truth, and now you see if it's a fit or not with them. And that's the whole shift we've created over 20 years now, with a revolution of thousands of people who've adopted our philosophy, doing really, really well, because they're not chasing ghosts anymore, and people who tell them what they want to hear, and they end up in the numbers game. So that's kind of the whole story behind the unlock the game process.
Yeah, that's that is a huge story. I mean, in one respect, you're lucky you got to hear that because, again, as salespeople, a lot of time you're on higher percent commission. We'll say you may have a small salary, but it's dependent upon sales. So every hour that you are tied up talking to somebody that has no interest in you, that's just, a waste of your productive time.
Yeah, look, I had to go through the pain myself and suffer and get dehumanized and rejected and feel like this in order to come out the other end of this thing, to realize there's an answer to this. And, growing up at home, I experienced like that as well. At the dinner table, I was suppressed a lot. I couldn't tell my truth. I was rejected. I had to keep everything inside myself many times, and I couldn't say my truth. And my whole mission has been not only to heal myself, but to help other people out there in sales and business who are literally playing a game they know is not true. They're holding back the truth, and they're being rejected by people. To me, it's a dysfunctional relationship in the sales process. And my mission is to basically heal all those people out there who've suffered through the old way of selling for so many years and want to get to a place of authenticity and be successful.
Yeah. And that's awesome, because that's where I believe, well, like I said, I believe in that because I can go lay my head down at night and sleep well. And if you have a good product, a good service at a fair price, and you do what you say you're going to do, you can sell that. So, to me, there's no reason to play those games. It's just, let's put it all out there. But so where do you start? Or if I'm new in sales and I'm coming to you and I say, look, Ari, I want to use this process. Tell me how we start. How does that process start?
Well, the first part of this model is to shift your mindset away from the sale and to focus only on the truth, if you can help them or not. And that starts with cleaning out the mental hard drive of what I call the old sales myths that are still wedged in the back of your subconscious, that are not freeing you to be in a different place with people. And one of those myths is, you probably heard of this one, it's sales is a numbers game. Heard that before?
Yes. 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 Yeah. I can hear it in my sleep most of the night.
I'm sure, yeah, we all have those ghosts in the back of our heads still after all those years of gurus telling us this, but it's all about the more contacts you make, the more sales you're supposed to make. Don't give up. Get back in there. Get in the game. Keep calling. We discovered that's all BS. It's not how many contacts you make anymore. It's about how deep you go on each conversation with someone, how good you are at trust building, not how good you are burning through conversations. That's number one. Number two is a big one, that the idea of the sale is lost at the end of the process. I'm sure you've been there before, where you had a good opportunity, all green light, all boxes checked, look great, waiting for the contract to come through, and then boom, it just definitely comes through, disappears on you. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You think that you've done, like you were saying in your story, you've done everything right. The people love you. They want to talk to you. And you spent this inordinary amount of time with them, getting them comfortable. And it's like, what could possibly go wrong except for they didn't sign the contract?
Yep. Yep. We discovered in our research that the sale is not lost anymore at the end of the process. It's lost at the beginning. It's lost at hello. And I'll prove it to you right now in a fun way. If someone calls your office tomorrow morning and you hear, hi, my name is, I'm with, we are a, what goes through your mind in about 3 seconds?
Yeah, I'm not interested.
It's
I'm
over
moving on.
at hello, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And I'll make the case today in this conversation that many of your listeners who are chasing ghosts are losing their opportunities, not at the end of their process. They're losing it way at the beginning.
Yeah, because it's a good story that you told, because I think there's probably a lot of that going out there, is that they're using you for information or leverage, because they could take whatever information you've given them and leverage it against their current supplier or whatever that may look like as well.
Yep. Yep. And the third one is the idea that rejection is part of the sales game. You got to take a no. You got to take a hit. If you're not tough enough, the old sales manager who said to you, hey, get back out there. Don't give up. Getting beat up is part of the game. That's the guys who got beat up the most and figure that's the way life is. Right. Well, we figured out that rejection actually is triggered by certain things you say and do subconsciously that cause the other person to push back on you and not tell you the truth, seducing you into thinking they're going to buy.
Do you have some examples of what those may be?
Absolutely. We're going to go through that now. And
Yeah.
I'm going to walk you through some of our core principles too, and also give all your listeners some real value here. I'm going to share with them some of my key, what I call trust-based languaging, phrases they can use to activate it real time in real scenarios and throw the scripts out altogether and use trust-based languaging that connects people authentically. So the first principle is the idea of what I call diffusing pressure. Your job is to always diffuse pressure in the sales process. Let me give you an example of this. Let's say you're having a first call with somebody over the phone, a first conversation. They're fully qualified, good opportunity. They're probably a buyer. The call kind of comes to an end. Normally, at the end of a call like that, we're trained in sales to do what typically? We're supposed to say things like what?
Are you ready to buy yet? How can I get you a contract out there?
Yeah, or how about we move things forward? A next step, a cup of coffee, and a demo. We always try. We're programmed to move people straight line to the yes at the end. That's where our brain's going, right? But what happens if you try and move somebody forward and they aren't ready yet at the beginning? What's broken right there with them?
Yeah, the trust.
Exactly. So same scenario, our mindset, our approach. Call is going well, good opportunity, could be qualified, all looking good, call comes to an end. Rather than saying, hey, how about we move forward to the end goal? What we say instead is this. We say, where do you think we should go from here? And I'll say it again. Where do you think we should go from here? Now, how does that change the dynamic of the conversation?
Yeah, we put it on what do they need, not what do we need. We need a signed contract, but that's not what they may need at this point.
So we're shifting the power to them. And usually when you say to somebody, where do you think we should go from here? They're usually in a state of shock. They can't believe somebody in a sales or business role would ask them what they want to do. That's unheard of because they're so used to people taking down a linear process that they know the game and their guard goes up and now they don't tell you the truth. But when you say to somebody, where do you think we should go from here? What usually happens is they say things like, well, I've got one more question. Or well, what about this? All of a sudden, the truth comes out at the beginning and not the end, saving you months and months and months of chasing ghosts and pretending you have a full pipeline and hoping to close somebody at the end of the process. So one of the triggers of rejection is languaging, the words that you use, the phrases that you use that are in the sales, old school sales speak, everyone hates so much. So the other element of the rejection that eliminate is the delivery. Now, what did you notice when I said, where do you think we should go from here? How's that different?
Slow the conversation down, strategic pauses in the phrasing to and that's something else, we shouldn't be afraid of silence, and it's good to put those pauses in at key places. But
when you slow things down, people engage with you. When you speed things up, create momentum and move quickly, the momentum creates pressure and the wall goes up, and now you're getting further and further away from the truth. So your goal is to focus on the truth, not the sale. That's what doubles your sales, because that's what helps you figure out who's a fit and not a fit. So you're not chasing people who aren't interested. And so the languaging, the mindset, and the tonality is part of the ingredients that makes it so authentic and so real. Not a technique, but the truth to help people out. And that's really the core principle number one. Number two principle is the idea of what I call getting to the truth with people. And what that means is having them feel comfortable telling you up front where they stand. So you're not playing the game everybody hates, And so I'll tell you a story about this. Recently, someone called my office and they got through, my whole team members got to me, unscheduled call. I pick up the phone and I hear, Mr. Galper? I said, yes. And he says, my name is John Johnson, changed the name, and I'm with XYZ company. And we're just now looking to bring somebody on board to train our sales team. We're looking at you and a couple other people. We'd like to know, first of all, why should we go with you? Why are you the best? And give me your best sales pitch. He says this to me. He's now putting what on me? Pressure, right?
What? Oh, yeah.
He's now pressuring me to start doing the dance, the sales dance where I'm supposed to pitch myself.
Right, exactly.
So I went back to my mindset, took a deep breath. They're a big company. You recognize the name, they're $1 billion company. I took a deep breath, got centered, lowered my voice. And here's what I said back to him. What I said to him was, well, isn't that interesting?
What was his response to that?
Oh, I wasn't done yet. That was a long pause there. That's what usually happens. You jump in like, oh shit, now what are you gonna say?
Right.
And then I said to him, well, isn't that interesting? I said, over here at our company, we have a very similar processes to you where we gather information, ask them questions, see if we're a good fit. And if we're a good fit, then we decide where to go from there. And I said to him, would you be open to that? That's all I said to him. Next thing I hear on the phone, nothing, dead silence. And I felt this breath across the phone, like he breathed, let breath out. And I could tell he lowered his shoulders. He became human again. He let go of his armor around him that he takes to work. He became like a decent human being. And he says to me, he lowers his voice and he says to me, okay, what kind of questions do you have for me? Next thing I know, within 5 minutes, we're having a normal conversation, human to human, no more games anymore. And in the conversation, I discover 1, he has no budget. 2, he's not a decision maker. And 3, he's just curious as to what I do.
Okay. Interesting.
And off he went to my website for some more information. I hung up the phone. Now, what did my process just save me months of?
Yeah, running around chasing somebody that, number one, if he's not the decision maker and he's got no budget, then there's not much at the end of that rainbow.
That's right. I would have chased, followed up, done everything possible. Because there's this drug, it's in our bodies, and it's triggered with inbound calls like that. You know the drug is called?
Adrenaline.
It's called hopium. You know the hopium drug? When you get that inbound call, you're like, woo, baby. You're so excited. You got the hope takes over you. It's like, man, you tell your team, guess what? I got a call from there. You tell your husband and wife, guess what? We're going to go feature this year. This is the year I got the call. You're so excited.
Right.
Then you follow up and you get their voicemail. You're like, what? He's not there. Then you go to your computer and you write, hi, I'm just writing you to what? To follow up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you and all your listeners right now to take a verbal oath with me to never again, post Ari, after hearing this podcast, to never again use the phrase I'm about to give you in your life ever again in business. And for those people on the call who've been in sales for a long time, this might hurt just a bit. Is that all right?
Yeah, no, go ahead. I'm raising my hand. I'm taking the oath.
I love it. You're a good Texan. So I'm going to ask everyone to never again use the phrase follow up ever again in their lives after today.
I so agree. And I think, we had this conversation, a couple of weeks ago, is that to me, it drives me insane. No matter if I'm interested, if it's a good product, good price, good service, but I'm not there yet. And I get the email or the phone call. It's like the same script. Hey, this is Joe. We talked last week. I'm circling back or following up. Want to see if you're ready to buy yet.
There's a few of those classic ones. There's touching base.
Yes.
There's one more classic one, follow up, touch base, got questions and checking in. These are all classic sales 101, 1980s techniques that we're used to doing. Right. And that's the problem. We're so conditioned to a yes or a no that we're on a track towards a way that people know a mile away, man, this guy is after me. He's a sales person, no matter how professional you are. And so I'll give you guys all right now, everyone listening, the replacement for that, because I've got a whole body of work around trust-based languaging tied to every single scenario you can ever imagine pre-sale. Okay. So what you do is replace that phrase with this. I'm just giving you a call to see if you have any feedback on our previous conversation, any feedback on our last meeting, any feedback on our proposal. See, feedback's going backwards away from the sale, not follow-up, which is going forwards towards the sale. When you go the reverse direction, what happens is you remove the pressure, you take the momentum out of it, and all of a sudden they feel comfortable opening up to you and telling you where they stand. It's funny when you say to somebody, and you can try this for anybody listening, or I'm giving you a call to see any feedback on our previous conversation, they just start talking. They just start downloading. You go, oh my God, this guy was right. Years and years of sales. Now all of a sudden I'm getting people talking to me. Whoa, because we're so brainwashed. We're so conditioned, so programmed to behave and speak a certain way that people know a mile away, the minute they hear any tonality of voice or anything that sounds like that stereotype, it is over at hello.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that, it's kind of the common thread, it seems, that's running through this so far, is that we have actually turned this around, and we're interested in you, Mr. Customer. What questions do you have? What can we do to move this forward? Not I'm the sales guy, I need the contract that's the end of the month, and I need to really get this deal inked today so I'll get my bigger bonus this month.
Look, you can still be ambitious. You can still have your goals, but you can't transfer that from you to them.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what happens. We have no filter system, and we overstep our bounds, even subtly. You'd be amazed at my clients who bring me their phone recordings of their calls, and they're nice people, but they jump into early in the conversation, start talking about their solutions. They don't diagnose deep enough. They don't have the right languaging. They go to a follow-up stage after call one. They go to call two, another follow-up stage, and they're just literally chasing ghosts. And they're wondering why their conversion rate's so low. And all they're trying to do is get more leads. And I'm like, stop getting more leads. Focus on the big hole in your bucket, which is conversion, and stop playing the game. And they go, they're literally, their head spin, go, oh my God, my whole career, I've always thought selling was about chasing opportunities. And it turns out that's the mistake everyone's making.
Yeah, we need to take care of those leads that we have, because I think there's ways that we can bring people around and not push them away. A lot of times, I will say that we push away in talking about the phone conversation. I hear these that it's like there's a script, and it's like, hello, Mr. Smith, and it's like a robot reading it. And I had a call that a young lady said, hey, great, I want to come in and take a look at this. Okay, well, wait just a minute. Let me tell you. And she said, great, that sounds good. When can we make it? Okay, well, hang on just a minute. Let me finish. I'm like, oh my gosh, this person blew through 3 stop signs. All they had to do was just be quiet. That's all they had to do, is be quiet and say, we'd love to see you. When can you be here?
That's right. That's right.
It's like somebody gave them a script and said, you got to get all 300 words in before
the whole industry has been brainwashed and programmed and wired to do a certain behavior that creates what I call a dysfunctional relationship from hello. And this goes down to across all communication, what I call trust-based communication, to learn, because I believe in this economy now that trust is the new currency. Mm-hmm. And if you aren't consciously putting trust in your sales process for your whole company, your whole business, I'm not saying, being trustworthy. I'm saying consciously putting trust into your process as a conscious effort and realization. If you're not doing that, just showing up and doing your thing, man, you're playing the numbers game, and you're going to be hitting some serious pain soon.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So there's one more principle if we got some more time.
Yeah. No, that's what I was going to ask you. What's your next principle there?
Yeah, the last principle is idea, what I call being a problem solver, where you replace being a pitch person. You probably heard of the 30-second commercial or the elevator pitch. Those things that we're taught to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Someone says, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a business coach, or I sell software. See, our identity is tied to our solutions. So when someone says, what do? We say, oh, I'm a financial advisor. We just connect to that prototype image. So what we help people understand and help companies do is translate their pitch into what I call a problem conversation, where when you meet somebody, you don't focus on your solution at all. You focus only on their world, what their problems are. So if you meet somebody, you don't say, I'm a X. You say, I help business owners solve 3 problems, A, B, and C. You focus in on their problems. You don't talk about your solution. It's too premature to offer a solution to diagnose their problem. And that's what creates that connection. I got a story for you real quick too that might bring this more alive for you. A few years back, I was brought back to the US to a big sales team, high-tech company, a big room, 500 people in the room. And right about lunchtime, I was doing my thing, and there were 4 or 5 guys in the corner of the room with their arms crossed, just like this, looking at me. And I get it all the time. Big companies, lots of few guys in the corner like this, and they're, you can feel that arrogance, and they're looking at me going, who does this guy think he is? I've been in this business for 20 years. No one knows more than I do. I've been in the game. I'm successful. I get it all the time. And so I'm prepared for this. And so right about lunchtime, I said, before we go to lunch, everyone, we're going to do one more thing. We're going to make live sales calls in the room right now to your toughest prospects you can't reach. And I reach over the table and I pull out a speakerphone pre-wired in the whole room, and I slammed it on the table. We're going to make live calls on this room right now, on this phone, to prove to you this is the future where selling is going. And the whole room's like frozen like this, and one guy goes, what? I said, now don't worry. You're not going to make live calls in the room in front of everybody right now. Guess who's going to do it? Me. I'm going to call your toughest prospects you can't reach in front of you right now to prove to you this is a breakthrough that you're missing. One guy goes, you can't do that. You don't even work here. You don't know our technologies. You don't know our product lines. You don't know our server levels of this, all this complex gobbledygook. I said, it's not about your solutions, my friends. It's about the problems you help people solve. You stay in that zone, man. You're unlimited opportunity. So one guy gets up, he walks down the aisle, kind of heavyset guy with a folder in his hand. And I said, come on down, come on down. He comes forward. I said, what do you have for me? He says, I'm what's called a win-back rep. My job is to win back the old clients we lost. I got 10 a year. Each one's worth 7 figures. If I close 1 a year, I'm a hero in the company. That's how big it is. Here's one for you. We lost one last year, a big opportunity client of ours. We shipped a brand new laptop for the sales team offshore for a big meeting, and it was a surprise gift to everybody. And the boxes arrived, unfortunately destroyed. The screens were broken and the laptop was crushed. It was terrible. There was just such a bad moment for this to happen. They called us back and they cut the whole contract off. We lost the entire account off that one experience. It was terrible for everybody. And my job is to win them back. The problem is I can't get past the gatekeeper. I've tried everything. I've tried to go through her, incent her, date her, trick her, every trick in the book. I can't get the decision maker the gatekeeper to get to the decision makers to get this thing going again. So here you go, Ari, you give her a call. I said, no problem. So I got her name and number. I walked over the phone. I said, please, everyone, please keep it down. This is a live call right now. Their whole room's still what?
Yeah, they're stiff.
They're just freaking out because their biggest fear that would happen to me that they're used to is what?
Rejection.
Correct.
Especially
in their world. Yes. In their world, rejection is normal.
Yeah.
In my world, we never trigger it.
Yeah.
So I have no fear. I teach my clients the same thing. So I dial the number, phone rang in the whole room. They're real quiet. And guess who picks it up? The gatekeeper. Her name is Julie. She says, hello, this is Julie. And I proceeded to say this. What I said was this. I said, hi, Julie. My name's Ari with XYZ Company. And I'm hoping you can help me out for a moment. I had a role play for a second. How would you respond to that if someone said that to you in that manner? What would your reaction be to that?
Of course. How can I help you?
Exactly. That's called a two-way dialogue at hello for people who struggle
Right.
at hello, which are most people. That creates an open communication. So then I said this. I said, well, I'm just giving you a call for only one reason only. And that is to apologize. What happened last year When we shipped you the laptops, they came destroyed. You called us back. We cut the contract up. We were upset with us, and it was a terrible experience for everybody. It was probably painful for you as well, and for everyone involved. And I just wanted to simply call to apologize on behalf of myself and my company for that horrible experience that we put you in front of. That's all I said. Next thing on the phone, you know what I hear next? I hear, let me tell you, I was there. I opened the boxes. I couldn't believe it. I was so upset too. I was embarrassed. It was horrible. She starts talking and talking and talking. It was like a whole dam opened up and the whole truth just came out. And she even says, oh, and I'm involved with the decision-making process to bring you guys back on again.
Surprise.
The whole time the guy's trying to go through her, turns out
he's the
linchpin for the whole thing. So the whole room's in a state of shock. And she comes full circle. And I said, look, I just want to again to apologize for that. It sounds terrible. And I just want to see if you'd be open to us figuring out a way to heal old wounds and begin again with a fresh start and see if we can build trust again from the beginning to prevent this happening again. Would you be open to that? That's all I said to her. There's a pause. And next thing she says is, that sounds good. Let's schedule a conference call and move this thing forward. Next thing I know, she's rattling off phone numbers and Zoom links, conference calls and VPs. I'm writing down, get this note, give me your pet. I'm writing down phone numbers, contacts, schedule dates. And I said to her, look, it'll be myself or my colleague. One of us will be in the call. Is that all right? That's fine. Doesn't matter who's there because I'm going back to home. And she's scheduling the phone call, like pulling everyone in, all the decision makers, the VPs on this call, and we got it all scheduled. And look, and I say thank you so much. And we're about to end the call. And she says one more thing to me at the end of the call. You know what she says?
What was that?
Thank you for being the only person in your company who actually listened to me rather than try and go through me.
Yeah. What an amazing story. That's awesome.
We hung up the phone and the whole room, it was like they saw Jesus Christ for the first time. They're like, what? I was like doing the wave in the room like this, you know? They put me on their shoulders like a football. I was being carried around the room like a hero after a war or something. Their whole life, they took bullets, man. They expected rejection. It was tough. And all of a sudden I showed them on one example how to cut through all that noise they've been carrying their whole lives because they were taught to sell. And I said, stop selling. Start learning how to create trust with people.
All right.
And I'll throw this out to you and your listeners, and I'll kind of ask you guys a black belt question here, a little higher level. Okay. Normally, I don't get black belt questions that you're really with me for a while. But what do you suppose my goal was in my mind before I picked up the phone to call her? What do you think my goal was in my thinking before I dialed the number with her? Any guesses?
Yeah, you just wanted to either get through to the decision maker or get their phone number or get a contact where you could reach out directly to them. Yeah, so that's what you'd probably expect it to be. But let me tell you what my mental goal was, and this is a bit higher level. But my goal was that I had no goal. I had no objective. I had no next steps. Because if I did, then I wouldn't be 100% present with her to connect to her in her world so she can feel that I care for her. And by being present, by connecting to her, by her feeling I truly cared about what happened without a next step, is what pure trust building is all about. It's a rare skill that most business people and salespeople can't get because they're so programmed and conditioned to go start selling in this way that everyone knows a mile away is a foreign language. Like the game is over, guys. 1980s and 90s to 2021. Everyone knows the whole pitch it's over. The goal, if you want to suffer play that game, I wish you the best. And I'll tell you, I get a lot of refugees, I call them, who come from other sales gurus who say, man,
Where you been, Ari, for the last 10 years of my career? I've thought that suffering through this is normal. I thought it's part of the game. And I've got my little clinic that I call it, where I help people detox and get them out of that process and back into themselves again. And they use this, by the way, people take this concept and use it in their personal life too. I've saved marriages. I'm not kidding. Some guy calls recently and said, "Hey, Ari, you saved my marriage." I'm like, "What?" My wife and I are about to get divorced. I heard your podcast. I got your programs. I study everything you're doing. And I realized the problem was me. I was putting my agenda before hers. I wasn't listening. I wasn't connecting. I was on the next step. And I finally broke through that. We are back together again. And I learned how to build trust in my life. Thank you. You saved my life. That's my mission, is to help people detox from that poor communication they've been brought up with, from everyone they've been taught, and to reset, upgrade, and come up to the modern day. Because right now, trust is a new currency. And if your business is still playing that old game, and I was able to quantify all the losses you're doing right now, if I can see your conversion numbers and look at the numbers, how low they are, and identify how much you're losing, trust me, there'll be so much value in that pot of pie right there that I'll lead further. You would go to sick your stomach to quantify the losses going on until you fix this once and for all. So that's really what I'm all about. And I appreciate you giving me a place to give my sermon.
You bet. No, that's great. I love hearing it. And it's a great mindset, talking about making people feel better and not, it just made me think about when I was a young salesman. I had a sales manager, and when the guys would fall out of the bullpen at the end of the day, if you were smiling and happy, you'd be like, well, obviously you didn't make enough calls today. I mean, like, you didn't get beat up enough. You need to make some more calls. Do you feel bad to walk out of here? It's just such a different philosophy that it's really uplifting, though. I like that. And it's better for the consumer, our prospect as well.
Look, dehumanizing people is just wrong. And exactly. I'm on a mission to make it right.
Good. Well, Ari, we certainly do appreciate you being with us. So tell me a couple things first before we go. What is something that you use in your day to add value? Could be a habit, could be a tool, it could be professional or personal, but just what's something that you feel adds a lot of value to your day?
I've tuned my ear to stop hearing. Hearing's passive, and do listening instead. Listening's active. People think, oh, I'm a good listener. Oh yeah, I listen to people. But I discovered, no, you don't listen. You're hearing, but your brain's already on the next step.
Yes.
When you close that gap, which we do in our training and teachings, people feel you're present with them. Money just rolls your direction. I mean, it's like a dam.
Yeah. And I had somebody luckily years ago that taught me that. It was that teaching you the active listening, because when you're hearing, I'm not hearing really, actually. I'm thinking about, I wish Ari would quit talking for a minute, because I've got something to counter that, or I've got something to say, what he just said. And I just missed the whole last part of, what you were saying. That's probably key information that I really needed.
Yeah.
Yep. It can be transformative. So y'all give it a try. Ari, again, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us, what kind of companies, what kind of people do you work with? What can you do for them? And then, of course, how can they reach out and get a hold of you?
Well, look, I work a lot with entrepreneurs, business owners, sales teams who are not happy with their conversion rate. They aren't happy with the leads that are coming through that they're able to convert to a new sale. I have a new book I'm working on, which we need another podcast on soon, coming out, called The One Call Sale. How to onboard somebody in one conversation, how to compress your sales cycle from 10 steps to 1 step. That's revolutionary. How to go from a 5% conversion rate to a 75% conversion rate. How to grow your business without any more marketing dollars being spent. This is the pot of gold most business owners don't understand how to dig up. So I do a lot of consulting around that. We do have a program called the One Call Sale, and we do have a free overview as well. If you want to just have your listeners just go to www.unlockthegame.com. Just get in there and put your details through. If this resonates with you, do a beeline to us as fast as possible. Reach out, access our courses, log in, reach out to me, whatever you need. We're here to help, because we view ourselves as, people helping refugees who are stuck on an island. They can't get off of their thinking. And once you hop over to our island, man, it's paradise. I'll tell you, it's a great life.
All right. That sounds awesome. Now, can they find your podcast at that website as well?
Everything's there at unlockthegame.com. Yeah.
Y'all go over and see Ari. I know he can help you. It's been awesome. It's been such a great time speaking with you today. We appreciate you taking time again to come see us, and hopefully we'll speak again very soon.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, you bet. That's going to do it for another episode of the Business of Business podcast. You can find us, of course, at www.thebusinessofbusinesspodcast.com. We're on all the major social media networks. When this episode goes live, of course, there will be a video version put up on YouTube as well. You can find us at all the major platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Spotify. If we're not on one that you listen to regularly, please reach out. I'll be glad to get us added to that one. Until next time, I want y'all to take care of yourself and take care of your business.